So, hello and welcome to this new Let's Play of Our Life. This is basically a visual novel, which is about our life, the player's life, and the boy's life you are seeing here in the picture. I thought it might be interesting to record a blind playthrough of this, since this is it's basically made for self-inserting, which isn't something I have much... I haven't exactly played many games which were made to self-insert. Or at least not properly made to self-insert, because having an empty husk as a protagonist, where you're wondering how the heck anyone is gonna like that person, then that's not a proper self-insert protagonist, you know? A proper self-insert protagonist is someone where you actually can choose how you want to be, how you want to look like, and so on and so forth. And this one is actually one that actually tries to do that properly, as I heard. So I guess we'll just see how it goes. I don't actually know too much about this, except for a few features. Oh, by the way, this game is also free. There are DLC which add more scenes, and I think later on they also want to add another time step to it. But yeah, I will let's play the free version, and if you like what you see, then please download the game and get yourself those DLCs. Without further ado, let's just start. New file. Welcome to our life, beginnings and always. Tutorial time. There are various ways you can customize and interact with the game. This tutorial is an overview of how certain features work. You can read the full tutorial from the main menu to learn about everything in detail. To start off, the game is divided into 3 time periods called steps. Step 1 Childhood, Step 2 Adolescence, and Step 3 Teenage. And I think they are putting the adult step later on. Our life is further divided into sets of vignettes that take place during specific periods of time. Those are called moments. Moments can be played in any order or skipped entirely. You move on to the next step whenever you want by selecting that summer is ending. Step 1 to 3 include 5 moments each, and even more can be unlocked by purchasing DLCs. Some are out now, and other DLCs will release later on. A lot happens over the years that go by, especially in regards to the character you play as. You determine nearly everything about the main character: name, appearance, personality, pronouns, interests, skills, their relationship with major characters, and so on. You can decide to change the details as time goes on, with a few exceptions. Your last name, skin tone, and eye color can't be altered once set. Yeah, I mean... Much of the MC's basic traits are determined on the character creation screen. As the MC grows up, more options become available on the screen. As mentioned, one of the decisions you'll get to make for your character is selecting a name. You can type in any name you like, or you can pick a preset name. Preset options are called voiced names, because the name will be voiced out loud by the romantic lead. You'll get to hear him say your name as you play through the story. Only the default name, Jamie, is included in the base game. Hundreds more can be added by getting a free voiced name expansion DLC. I actually got that one, so we'll see what the preset names are. The full collection of names is separated out as a DLC because of how large it is. If you're not interested in that feature, you don't need to get it. Each name in the DLC belongs to or was selected by someone who supported the project. On the character creation screen there's a cute doll you can decorate to get an idea of what your MC looks like with the different traits you put together. Not all the things you decide about the MC appear on the doll. The script referencing what you've decided for the MC is the main way those decisions influence the game. Our life has a first-person perspective, so your character doesn't appear next to other character sprites. You only see the MC as the decorative doll and in special cut-in CG images. Those cut-in CGs only appear if certain choices are made. It's possible not to see any during a playthrough. There's also a second type of special MC-based screen, the interest comfort screen. Unless you get DLCs, the game has one love interest, Carver Holden. He grows up with the MC, and the interest comfort screen is crucial for determining how that plays out. Interest level sets how much you like him. There are 4 levels: disinterest, fond, crush, and love. Love is only a variable starting in step 3, and if you were at fond or crush in step 2. Comfort determines how you generally think when it comes to him. There are 3 levels: nervous, relaxed, and direct. Your level of interest and comfort will set the type of dynamic your character has with the love interest. What you did in the past will influence the present, and feelings can change over time. You get to pick your interest comfort near the beginning of every step. Comfort can switch between the 3 levels as you please. Your interest level can only stay the same or increase. Your current level of interest will become the new lowest option on the screen in the future. For example, if you decide to be fond on step 1, this interest will not be available on the screen in step 2 and 3, which will make fond the bottom level option for your relationship. Interest level has an impact when it comes to physical interacting with Corver. I realize I don't actually know how to pronounce his name. While growing up, things are rather simple. If you get along with one another and have a close relationship, you can choose to touch him, and Corver will occasionally interact with the MC in lighthearted or comforting ways. But starting in step 3, touching can become more romantic or suggestive if you are at crush or love. To make sure things go nicely with that, there will be an extra choice to determine initiative level and a bonus mini-tutorial that goes along with the choice to explain the feature in more detail. Basically, if you decide you like Corver, the game won't force you to act on those feelings. You can always choose not to get together with him, choose not to accept or give romantic gestures, etc. If you do decide to date Corver, though, you can't break up with him later. Yes, the Otome game, where realism... It may be realistic to break up with people, but in Otome games, of course, that kind of stuff doesn't happen. It's guaranteed. Unless you die, or your partner dies. That can also happen in Otome games. Interest comfort gets the basics down, but it's the choices that appear throughout the normal game events that decide what actually happens between the MC and Corver. And it isn't only the MC who is impacted by your decisions. Corver grows and changes over the years. How he's treated and what he experiences help shape who he becomes. In step 2 and 3, Corver's personality, appearance and interests will vary based on what happened in the previous step. Oh boy, that's gonna be very interesting. It's something of a mystery exactly how your decisions end up changing him. You can try to guess as you go along. Oh boy. Or if you prefer, you can also just design your own ideal Corver directly by using Corver Creator option that pops up at the beginning of step 2 and 3. Oh, that's very funny for some reason. Making the choices you want is always more important than making a choice because you feel like you have to in order to get a certain result. When a choice does appear, usually you'll see that hovering the cursor over an option shows a certain color, yellow, blue or green. The colors aren't related to specific points or effects. They're only there to give a bit of insight of the tone, emotion of the choice, since the text alone can potentially be read in more than one way. Blue tends to be casual, straightforward. Yellow more emotive, reactive, In green, less certain, uncommitted. Though there are hundreds of options in our life and not every choice menu falls in line with that pattern, picking just one color every time doesn't give a gameplay benefit. Only stick to a certain type if that's what you happen to like, otherwise switch between them freely. Always pick yellow, never pick yellow, pursue romance right from the start, never romance the love interest, be disagreeable or amiable. None of them will lead to a bad ending. That's actually very nice. It's nice to, once in a time, just play how you like, without dying. I mean, I love bad endings, and I love getting to see the consequences of my own actions. It's wonderful, actually. It's hilarious. But it's also nice to just sometimes not to have to look at a guide, just doing what the hell you want. It's a special comfort, you know? You're welcome to enjoy the events and shape the story without reservation, and then, if you like, you can play again to try something new. There's only ever more good content to discover. We hope you'll have a nice time with our life. Thank you for playing. Whew. Okay. Well then, I guess I will try to... Well, first off, let's look at the names we got here. What is the closest thing we have to Rina here? Rina... I guess Rina, theoretically, but I want to just one very quick look if my real name is actually also somewhere here. It isn't. Alright, Rena it is. Rena. Yes, I do like Ren very much though. Last name. Choosing Shirawase would be a bit cringy since I am not Japanese. So... What could be a good Nas? Ah! I have an idea. I always liked Moon, you know? My own face shape... I guess it's somewhere between oval and square? It's hard to tell, honestly. It's kind of both. I guess I would just go with oval. Skin tone... Okay, I am not that pale. I am very pale, but I am not that pale. That's a bit much, I want to say. Is that are there people who are this pale? I mean, I know I always out pale everyone I meet, but that's a bit much. Eye shape. Those kind of look like bedroom eyes. I guess round. Bay, yellow, gold, orange, red, pink, purple, blue. We have... No, we don't. Okay. It's a very strong green, but green it is. Yeah, I guess around that. I don't have to pick the perfect one, so I guess I'll just pick that one. My hair is kind of wavy, though I think it's not as long as this, but whatever. Red, a nice red. Where is red? I guess that's red. I look kind of ginger. Change page. I don't really have birthmarks or scars. Neither do I have freckles. Medium. I do have glasses. I do have glasses. I again don't... okay, I do have a lot of birthmarks. Not on my face, but... arm? Shirts and... pants. Necklace. Okay. Summer in Sunset Bird was a special time of the year. Your usually sleepy town began to bustle. It was a popular tourist destination with people coming from all over to enjoy the beach, the weather, and the relaxation that came with both. The smell of the ocean, crisp and salty, hung in the air, bringing 3 whole months of schoolless vacation with it. 3! 3 months of no oh man. During the summer, your moms didn't like you to wander too far outside of your neighborhood, so you knew the area pretty well. That included the people. Families came and went from Sunset Bird, but they mostly stayed and did what your mom called putting down roots. They built businesses, they got to know each other, and they definitely said hello to the nice young kids who waved when passing their stores. Going for a walk around town mostly meant that the familiar, friendly residents waved, or asked how your family was, or most often just said hello. You didn't really get why they always had to say hi. They saw you every day, but you nodded back at them anyway. You ended up saying hi to a lot of different people, since most of the tourists that came and went every summer were the same ones. You were too anxious to say hi back to most of the other residents that greeted you, but they all knew you well enough to expect that. Okay, if I go and act like my actual child self, my child self was very, very open, very friendly to anyone who would listen to me. I would talk about my entire life story with people who never asked that, so... so I guess I would say super friendly. My child self was super outgoing and super friendly, though she still liked to stay at home. You enjoyed learning all about where they were visiting from and hoped to visit those places one day too. But today there was a man sitting on the curb outside your house. He was sitting with his head in his hands, his whole body slumped over, and you wondered if he was even a real person or a statue that had magically sprung up from the ground overnight. Whoever or whatever he was, you had never seen him before. One thing about knowing everyone in Sunset Bird was that people who you didn't recognize really stood out. It was worth a tourist to venture into the residential district, as your mom called it. So for you, not knowing who a total stranger was set off a lot of red flags. Your mom's had a talk with you and your big sister Lizzie about this kind of situation before. You hadn't exactly been listening at the time. You think it could be okay to talk to new people. They mentioned that some people aren't good to talk to, but other types of people can help you even if you don't know them. You remember that it's okay to run away if you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to worry about being polite then. Was I the type of person to talk with strange adults? I wasn't exactly a reckless kid, you know? I did have my instincts and they worked pretty well. I knew when a person was dangerous. Somehow I just knew. I guess I'll take the middle one. You weren't sure about this man yet? Still, you felt a bit scared knowing that he was blocking the way to your front door, but you were pretty interested. You wanted to know more about what's going on, and whether he was nice or not, you didn't want to be bothered. Child me would have definitely be interested. You slowed down, your eyes remained fixed on the man. There was a split second where your eyes met, and you knew he was aware he wasn't alone on the street anymore. Hey. You raised your eyebrows at the shout. Did you want something? Is that why he was here? The man stood up and started to make his way toward you. Not wanting to seem too approachable, you followed your arms and stared. Still not sure about him, but willing to be friendly, you offered the stranger a smile. Your whole body was frozen in place as he approached. I am assuming that he isn't dangerous, so I probably would have been pretty friendly. The man gives a grin of his own back. Do you live around here? What's your name? You looked the man up and down, taking in his tanned skin and relaxed appearance. At least his clothes were relaxed, the way he was acting wasn't. He had sharks on his shorts and a stingray tattoo, and you wondered if he was obsessed with the ocean or something. While you made your assessment, he looked at you expectantly, waiting for an answer to his question. Yeah, I think I would just say, yeah, I live here. That's great. He looked happy to hear it, giving you a broad smile. Money. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a clean $20 bill. It crinkled in his hand as he held it up to you. Even more confused than before, you looked back at him. Well, could you do me a favor? Nothing bad. Sorry, I should have. Let me start over. He cleared his throat and stood up straighter. From where you were standing, it made him look creepier. I have a son. His name is Cover, who's about your age. Cover, that seemed like a strange name for an actual living person to you. You chewed on the inside of your cheek. This guy was definitely obsessed with water. You thought that was pretty cool. If I came across a name I had never heard before back then, I probably would have been like, oh, that's pretty cool. You've never met anyone with that name. We moved in across the street, see? He gestured towards the house that had been empty for a year. His watch catching the late afternoon sunlight and reflecting off the walls. That gigantic "For Sale" sign was finally gone. You must be Rina, right? I met your moms earlier and they told me you were 8 just like him, so... He shook the $20 bill to bring it back to your attention, a hopeful smile tilting his lips at the corners. Can you try to be friends with the boy? Just give it a chance and you can keep this. He's a good kid. You'll like him. You're bribing an 8-year-old to be friends with your child for money. For money! What kind of dad are you? Why are you bribing a child to be friends with your boy? Oh no! Oh no! What kind of lonely kid is he? But you gotta keep it a secret too, okay? Wouldn't be friendly to say his dad sent you. I mean, obviously, he wouldn't be happy to know that his dad bribed children to hang out with him. I probably would have back then, I probably would have been more like the third choice. Did other kids really get their parents to pay for friendships? Had your moms done that for you and Lizzie? The thought made you frown. Oh no. What'd you say? Want to make a deal? Uh, hmm. I probably wouldn't have taken the money. I mean, even little old me had some morals, you know? Not many back then, but I had them. No? No, thank you, sorry. He deflated enough to notice, but not completely. Are you sure? It won't be so bad, even if it's just for the summer, not be enough. That only made this sound even more strange to you. Why does it lasting for the summer matter? When it was clear his initial strategy wasn't going to fly, he tucked the bill into a back pocket and changed the request. I get it, you don't have to. Would you be comfortable with he and I coming by for a normal visit? No money involved? Okay, you can do that. His smile got bigger again. His eyes crinkled at his sides. I'll bring him by tomorrow. I wanted him to meet and greet with the neighbors today, but... well, I don't know where he's gotten off to. He laughed when he said that, but with the way his face looked you thought he actually wanted to cry. If you see him, can you tell him to come home? He got a pink cast and glasses, you can't miss it. Sure thing. This definitely wasn't the normal way kids made friends, you knew that, but you were still going to help. The man smiled and reached out to pat you on the head, paused before doing so, then pulled his hand away instead. Your moms are already checking around for me, such a thoughtful group you are. No, I better go look too. Can't put everyone else to work while I keep sitting here. I thought you might come back and... that's not what's important. I have to go. Thanks again, Rina. So much. He jogged off down the street without another word. You decided to check the hills behind your house. Step 1. First sight. The chirping of crickets in the tall grass greeted you, quiet and familiar. From the top of the hall you could see the ocean. As you walked, you listened to the crash of the waves on the shore and the seagulls squeaking as they settled down for the night. I was very often by the ocean when I was a child. I didn't like much the ocean itself though. I liked pools more, for the simple reason that I didn't like to think about what was living inside the ocean. And that's pretty much the same today too. Even if I get to the ocean, I probably will only gaze at it and meditate and not actually bathe in it. It's nicer to look at and not to bathe in it. I prefer a clean pool. Well, as clean as they can get anyway. Cleaner than the ocean, I think. So, yeah, I probably would have chosen the second option. You love to hear stories about the sea, about the merfolk and sea serpents you imagined living far beneath the waves. Sometimes you could almost convince yourself you had seen the flash of a shiny mermaid's tail in the distance. I was obsessed with mermaids when I was little. I still am. You took in a deep breath. You wanted to try to relax and couldn't. You weren't sure what, but something told you that you weren't alone, so you glanced around. There was a boy sitting at the top of one hill, almost completely hidden within the long grass and white flowers surrounding him. His head was buried in his knees, staring ahead by himself. For whatever reason, probably just that he wasn't paying attention, he hadn't noticed you yet. You watched him a minute longer, feeling a little bit like you'd found a deer in the wild. Though deer didn't have... I probably would have looked the most at the pink cast, because it's unusual to have. But this new boy did. You wondered how you got it. After a few more seconds, you took a step forward, then another. And then he glanced your way. His aquamarine eyes reflected the light of the moon. You stopped, raising a hand to acknowledge him and show you weren't scary. Probably would start with, "Are you lost?" I have to channel my inner 8-year-old. With a start, he jumped to his feet, his hands balling into fists at his side. He didn't say anything, just stared at you in a strange way. He'd been crying. There were traces of tears on his cheeks and his knees, soaking the hem of his shorts, and his eyes were still shining with a few more. You obviously caught him off guard. His pink cast seemed to glow in the twilight, though he caught you staring at it. He had his arm behind his back. Something the man earlier had said stuck out to you. "Carver?" "Ah." Eyes wide, he studied you. "How'd you know that?" "I met your dad." "So, is this your hill?" He gestured with his uninjured arm to the patch of grass surrounding you, his face falling at the prospect. "I can leave if it is." "You can't own a hill." "Why not?" "How could you?" "You just do. I had a hill back home." "Well, this still isn't mine." "Oh." He sat back down with a thump, resting his chin on his knees again. Curious about the strange new boy with the odd dad, you sat on the patch of grass next to him. The pure white flowers that covered the hill rocked back and forth gently as the stars twinkled above. The way they dotted the sky made them seem like flowers too. The night wind was cool as it traveled over the ocean and up the hill, chasing away the heat from the afternoon sun. "Yeah, why are you here?" A quiet hiccup escaped Carver as soon as you asked the question. Almost like they never stopped, his tears started up again with vengeance. "My parents, they don't want to live together with me anymore." The tears fell fast and heavy over his flushed cheeks, sticking in his dark lashes. "My mom made my dad leave and he took me with him, and now I have a new house here and I want to go home." "Ah, divorce. It's always hard on the kids, but divorce is better than kids growing up in a bad household where the parents only fight. So it's just something you have to deal with, even if it's unfortunate." The outburst took you off guard. By the time he was done wailing, Carver's chest was heaving with exhaustion. He sniffed and removed his glasses, wiping at his eyes with the back of his hand before he put them back on again. "I hate this place. I want my real life back. I want my mom." To be honest, I probably wouldn't have said anything back then. Even child me was not well equipped to handle crying children. I was not equipped for that, so I probably would have changed the topic. He slipped his hands underneath his glasses and pressed his fingers against his eyelids. Carver wound himself up again for another long crying fit. It must be hard for Corval living here without his mom, but at least he still had a parent who cared about him. But from way off in the distance you heard your parents. Rina! Cove. Kids, where did you go? Corval looked at you, tears still clinging to his cheeks. Don't tell them we're here. I don't want to go back to that house. I want to go home. I mean, I know what the proper way to handle it is, but I'm an 8-year-old right now. An 8-year-old doesn't know shit about what the right thing to say is. But I guess the closest thing would have been, it will be okay. You were struck by a sudden need to reassure Cora. It's not gonna all be fun, but isn't he your family too? Yeah, I guess. Then you can count on him when you really, really need him. You shot him a grin and pushed yourself to your feet. Slowly, Corva stood up with you, still looking a little reluctant. His dad's voice rang out again. Corva, can you hear me? He looked towards the sound of his dad's voice, silent, then turned away while rubbing his not-bandaged arm. Sorry, I still don't want to go. I probably would have tried to convince him. Are you sure? You would have to stay outside the whole night and sleep on wet grass. Before Corva could say anything else, you heard his dad's voice again, even closer than before. There you are, Bud. The trio of parents appeared over the curve of the hill. Instantly, all their eyes laid on you, and they rushed over. Both of your moms were at your side in a split second, faces filled with worry. You have very good parents. They are very attractive. Rina, you're here after all. We had been at the park to check for Corva, and then heard what happened earlier when you met the new neighbor. I thought you might have gone off further away. We were just sitting in the grass. Thank God you're both fine. Were you two having fun out here? You looked over at Corva, who was wriggling against his dad's tight hug and pushing at his arms. He's good, I think I'm gonna marry him. No. I probably would have just shrugged, considering that it wasn't a very fun exchange after all. He's new here. It was okay. Finally letting go of his scrolling son, Corva's dad turned to the three of you. Thanks very much for finding him. I really don't know this neighborhood. Good thing Rina knows this whole area so well. Absolutely. We should be getting home now. It's been a long day for us all. Say goodbye, Corva. Bye. The two of them walked off into the darkness, heading towards the neighborhood. You watched Corva's bright pink cast until it disappeared. Tell you what. We'll have a proper playdate tomorrow, okay? Your new friend's dad wants to bring him by to see you and Lizzie. How does that sound? It sounds like words? What does that mean? I will probably like, holy shit, I can show him all my stuff. Oh my god. One thing that never changed as I grew up was that I always loved to show off things. Just showing people stuff was the greatest serotonin of all. Just showing stuff. Sure, can I show him my stuff? Of course. Then okay. Both of your moms laughed, the sounds overlapping into a warm, familiar chorus. Mommy put her arm around your shoulder and led you towards the path. Satisfied and more than a little ready to go to bed after your long, exciting day, you followed them home. Choose your feelings for Kove. This is how you feel towards Kove for this step. It can change on later steps. Me as a child, I was very direct. Is there something between fond and indifferent? I would have been, oh, a new kid to play with. Nice. That would have been my thoughts back then, like, holy shit, a new friend to play with. I wouldn't really call that feeling fond though, more like curiosity? Let's just choose fond. Because indifferent really doesn't fit, I must say. It really doesn't. Child me didn't have much indifference in her. She was really like, holy shit, friends to play with. That was really all she could... she was... yeah. Little me was a very excitable ball of happiness and action. And with a lot of fantasy. I would say fond. Yeah. You won't be able to change it again until step 2. Yeah. After the breakfast table the next morning, you finished your food faster than usual. Your sister Lizzie had run out earlier to go play, but you stayed put. Today, just like your moms had promised, Kove was coming over to hang out. Up close they are even more attractive, holy shit. Especially the mom on the left. Excited to see your new friend again, Rina? I like him. How sweet. I'm so happy you moved in. With that said, are you done with your breakfast? I would mostly eat everything I could. Good job, you should be here soon. Clean up again, and then, on cue, there was a knock. It was hesitant, like the person wasn't sure they were in the right place. Still loud though. We need to get a more obvious doorbell. I know. Rina, could you get it? Wriggling out of your chair without really pushing it back, you made your way to the door. Hey Moon family, thanks for having us. Mr. Holden, as your moms have called him, and the son were here. Kove looked different in the bright lightning of your living room, and when he wasn't crying. With his dad standing in front of him and Mom and Mommy behind you, you and Kove looked at each other. Pleased to see your new friend again, you smiled at Kove. He smiled back with some hesitation. Mom, we're going to play in my room. Your guest blinked, but didn't protest. Okay.
Take care.
Let us know if you need anything, you two. Have fun, kids. See you later, son. Play nice. You led him to your room, puffing out your chest a little bit at the sight of your treasures. There were lots of stuffed animals, a cool bed, a window to look out. It was a great room. You hadn't had anyone to show it to in a while, but you were really proud of it. You leaned in a little closer to one of your drawings on the wall. I like this. Excitable little me would have been like, I drew that. Cool. You smiled at him, you were proud of that particular piece of art, and you were glad he noticed it. He turned to look around the room a little more, studying the books on your desk and the pictures on the walls. You started to feel a bit nervous, you felt the atmosphere was kind of awkward. You hoped you liked your room. This is difficult. On one hand, I was always very good at sensing the mood. But I was also a very excitable little girl, so... Let's choose you were glad for the company. It was nice to have someone new to play with. Then his eyes landed on a tiny box of beach things you collected, tucked away by your door. You took a step towards it, before hesitating and pointing at it instead. What's that? A hoard of stuff I found on the beach. Do you have any driftwood in there? Dragging the box into the middle of the room, you and Corvus flopped down next to it. I do, look. You gestured to a piece at the bottom, still covered with specks of sand. Neat, this is a good collection. You got the sense from the tone of his voice that he wasn't just saying it to be nice, or to be like Shiloh, he actually meant it. I forgot about Shiloh. Shiloh? He's friends with my older sister, and he's supposed to hang out here this afternoon. Do I have to see him? You don't have to do anything. He's going to be here, but he's going to be here. Anyway, I found this gigantic shell here stuck to an even bigger rock. You pulled out the seashell after seashell, explaining where you've gotten each one and holding them up against the light. There were big ones, small ones, pink, purple and orange. Most of them were washed off in the bathroom sink where you brought them home, cleaning off the sand. Over the past few years, you'd even learned some of the scientific names. The collection was so huge and varied that you had lots of funny stories to tell for all of them. Your voice faltered a little bit, but you kept going as best as you could. I wasn't that interested in... Okay, I did have those weird Disney lexicon books. I don't know, they had each a different theme. Like one was about dinosaurs, another was over inventions, another one was about the planets. Like those kinds of things. I had all of them and I did read all of them. I liked them very much. I think we recently sold them, so I had them for a very long time. But I probably wouldn't have remembered something as seashell names. I was more interested in T-Rex. So yeah, probably more the collection was huge. Apparently fascinated either by the stories or by the shells themselves, Corvo listened with what looked like the full force of his attention. Like when you almost got pinched by a hermit crab while searching for the shells, and after watching him scuttle back into the ocean, you found another empty shell that was almost a twin to his home. It was a new experience to be the center of such dedicated focus. But Corvo hadn't been mean to you, so you didn't mind. You smiled at him every now and then while showing him your collection. Kids, come down to the living room. You could tell the idea was making him unhappy, but Mommy wasn't giving you much of a chance to hang out. Carver hadn't been like this morning. Carver hadn't been like this meeting you. You guess it was because he thinks you found each other by accident, not that a parent made it happen. It took me a moment to probably understand that sentence. Mr. Holden must be right that telling Carver his dad was part of that would be a bad idea. Before you knew it, you both been escorted downstairs and deposited in the living room, ready for Shiloh's visit. The two of you sat side by side on the floor of your home's entryway. I brought the box of shells. I want to keep looking at them. I mean, I probably would have been like, great. Fantastic. I wasn't that careful with my stuff back there, but I did treat my stuff well. Bust it open. We can keep looking while we wait for Shiloh. Carver reached in and pulled out a big orange shell. Oh! Like he hadn't spoken aloud yet, he turned to you and held it up, his eyes shining. I think this one is the best of them. Yeah, I think I would have probably just said you can take it. Carver looked at you in surprise, his eyes going wide. Really? Sure, you like it a lot, right? Uh-huh, but I don't want to take it from you, it's okay. You got the impression he was hesitant to accept something because he didn't know you very well. You insisted. No, it's okay for you. You pushed the shell against Carver's chest, willing him to receive the present, but Carver firmly shook his head and kept his arms tightly at his sides. It was a battle you couldn't win, at least not today. Carver was your neighbor now, and maybe you could give it to him another time. The two of you were still sitting on the floor looking through your collection of beach findings when the doorbell finally rang. Carver jumped, startled by the sound. Since the person hadn't knocked, you figured it was probably Shiloh. He knew where to look for that. Lizzie's friend? You nodded, but that didn't seem to make Carver feel better. It was already obvious that Carver didn't hide his feelings well. You could tell that he was thinking right away. This isn't a good idea. It's just Shiloh, and where would you even go? He's at our only door, and if you go upstairs, he'll find you. Carver glanced around the room, his eyes wide, and finally paused with his gaze locked into the back of the house. I can go out the window. He was already walking towards it. Scrambling to think of something to say, he stepped forward, then paused. I was very receptive of other people's feelings, and I usually didn't go against other people. So I probably would have said, I'll come with you. Hurry, they'll see where we're going. He glanced back at you, then nodded. The two of you made your way to the window together. It wasn't much of a distance to clamber out, but by the time you landed gently in the bushes, you looked up to see that Carver was already taking off away from the house. He was fast, but you knew you could outrun him if you had to. It's not that fast. You could outrun him if you had to. I was a very active child. I had no problems outrunning the guys back then. Carver, You ran as fast as your legs would take you, grass whipping around your ankles as you did so. Cautiously, Corvus slowed down to a halt and looked back at you. Where are you going? I don't know. Somewhere else. I just don't want to see. Rina! You looked back and saw Shiloh huffing down the hill after you, the backpack he clutched bouncing all around along the way. What are you doing? Can I come? He must have seen you leaving out the window and followed behind. You are right, he really isn't very intimidating. I can tell on one glance. Oh, hi! Are you Corvus? Yeah. I'm Shiloh. Okay. Yep, are we going back? Or are we gonna play outside? Shiloh's eyes moved between you and Corvus. The smile remained strong on his face. It got a tiny frown from Corvus in response. You were just grateful he hadn't asked you why you had been running away. Inside. We left the box on the floor. My stuff! We need to get it before someone steps on it. Okay. With Shiloh trailing behind, you and Corvus headed back towards the house. The plan for the afternoon, at least as far as you were concerned, was to sit and look at the beach things some more. You weren't really in a mood to do much of anything else, especially if Corvus was having fun. This is a scalloped shell I found last week. I kept it because it looked neat. It's a pretty color, I kinda like the cast. The beautiful glittering pink did look a little bit like the wrap around his arm. Pink is a nice color. Okay. Come on, Corvus, you're being a bit difficult. Is it your favorite? Not really. What is? Maybe green or blue, might be red, yellow. Oh, those are all cool. I guess. I probably would have minded my own fucking business at that very awkward situation. I mean, I was very receptive to the moods and feelings of other people, but that didn't mean I was gonna make a mood between two other people better. It just meant that I was gonna be like, okay, you two deal with your own awkwardness, I will do my thing now. Like usual, it didn't take long for Shiloh to get fidgety. Lizzie was his favorite. Without her around, Shiloh didn't seem to know what to do with himself. And Corvus wasn't like your sister. He wasn't that much like you either. Is Lizzie coming back? Don't know. Aw, where'd she go? I think she's at the beach probably. Is she playing at her park? Corvus' eyes light up at the mention of the park and he looked towards you. There's a park? Yep, but it's old. Can you show me? I wanna go. He started getting up before you had even answered and Shiloh jumped up beside him in excitement. Really? You do you too, right, Rina? The park's fun. I was a wild child. I loved it. Yeah, it's right at the beach, so there's lots of fun stuff to do. Lots of sand. It had a jungle gym and a bunch of swings. That sounds like it could be cool. So, are we going to find Lizzie? I don't know. I never really wanted to see her. I just want to check the park out. God damn. Adrift without any direction, Shiloh finally turned to you. Okay. You perked up. Both boys wanted to go. It was only fair. After getting permission from your moms, the three of you were ready to head out. It was a short walk to the park. Lizzie had convinced your moms that it was so short she should always be allowed to walk there by herself. When you found her, she was hanging out on a jungle gym, swinging back and forth. Hey, Lizzie! Her face lit up when she saw you, her big brown eyes going wide. Rina, Shiloh! Hi! She dropped to the ground and landed with a soft thud in the sand. In a split second, Shiloh had abandoned you two and scrambled over to stand by her. You were used to being left out when it was just the three of you, so... But now Culver was here. You wondered if you would leave too. Who's that? It's Culver, he's new. I remember. Hi, Culver. Welcome to my park. Nobody ever comes to play here, so this is where we get together. She gestured widely with her arms as if to present the area to the newcomer. Without interrupting Lizzie's speech, Culver whispered in your ear, quiet enough that the others wouldn't overhear. I thought kids couldn't own places like parks or hills. You couldn't help but laugh a tiny bit. While Lizzie continued talking, you took the chance to kick off your shoes and wiggle your toes through the warm sand. Nice, huh? In this neighborhood, I'm the one who comes up with the ideas. Oh. Question, is Lizzie like the older sister or the younger sister? Because it would be kinda weird if she's the older sister, because I've only ever been the older sister in the family, so being suddenly the younger child would be kinda weird. You are? Yeah, I am. Who else could handle the job? Okay, I am the little sibling. Lizzie is the oldest. By a lot. My mom say you are Raina's age. Yeah. I thought so. I'm still the only one in this group with double digits. What about the other kids? Other kids? There aren't any. We're the only kids here, and Shiloh is just visiting from another place. Not even tourists really bring their kids here. This is the land of the ancients. Be careful that the oldies don't try to steal your youth. Oh. For a split second, it looked like he might cry again. But something in his eyes shifted and he looked back at Lizzie. What kind of old people? Like moms or dads or grandparents? Grandparents who don't have kids. They hate kids. Why? We haven't done anything. Only some of them don't like kids. You interjected quickly, hoping Lizzie wouldn't take things too far. Culver sniffled, his forehead creasing with worry. Lizzie was staring Culver down, but Culver wasn't even looking at her anymore. He didn't seem to care that she was here. He went into his own head. Shiloh was the next one to speak, completely unaware of the situation. I met Lizzie and Rina in school. You see tons of kids there once summer is over. I don't want to go to a new school. I don't want summer to end. Shiloh looked down into the dirt. He hasn't had much luck stirring up a conversation with Culver. Rip. I like summer vacation a lot too. I really hate the fact that my parents installed Alexa in my room. Why does it keep reacting to what I'm saying today? It's getting really annoying. But, well, anyway. I like summer vacation a lot too. Again. All the building tension in the air suddenly vanished when Lizzie laughed. At childless discomfort. At how weird she thought Culver was. At something else entirely. You didn't really know, but she laughed, face scrunching up. Welcome to Sunset Bird, Culver. So take a seat, put up your feet, and get used to it. You offered him a small smile, and that at least looked to reassure him some. So, and I think this is a great place to stop for now. So, until the next episode. Till then, Bye!